This has become quite an unusual set of by-elections, especially in Toronto. It is more apparent to me day by day that Team Hudak is quickly being swallowed up by Team Ford. They have put forward Doug Holliday as one of their own, the Ford brothers' candidate for Etobicoke Lakeshore. The mayor and his brother have stumped for him, made media statements supporting him, campaigned for him, and attended public events. The National Post has called Mr. Holliday the Ford brothers' surrogate. A provincial election is none of the mayor's business. Yet the Fords have made this election about themselves, and we have to wonder why. The Fords want to claim a win for Holliday proves the people of Etobicoke endorse them. I don't think a ringing personal endorsement of Rob Ford is the message most residents of Etobicoke want to send. I am sure that it is inappropriate for the mayor to abuse a provincial vote in this way. Kathleen Wynne and Peter Milchin represent a clearly different set of values and a set of priorities that Etobicoke needs, advocated for by our provincial government. They will provide the thoughtful, responsible leadership Etobicoke deserves. I know Peter. He has a positive message to tell, advocating for his community to create jobs and make life a little bit easier for the residents of Etobicoke Lakeshore. On October 1st, Etobicoke voters have a very clear choice. They can elect the Ford Holliday ticket and send a mouthpiece of Rob Ford to Queen's Park, or they can elect Peter Milchin and send a representative of the actual people of Etobicoke Lakeshore. The residents of Etobicoke should send Ford Nation a message from home, and I want to say something of this before I conclude about the comments the mayor made yesterday. He is campaigning against the only party with dedicated funding for subways. 90% of all transit projects right now are being picked up by the provincial government. Only 4% is coming from a Conservative government and precious little from the city. He doesn't have any money in the project to call himself a champion. There is zero commitment from the City of Toronto to a subway. And my dear friend Tim Hudak definitely has no plans on how we fund new subways and has no room in his fiscal plan to actually fund transit. The only thing you can trust the PCs to do when it comes to subways is shovel them in instead of bore more tunnels. Their views on public transit are narrower than a GO train rail, which I must add they froze funding to when they were in power, and while we were seeing massive growth in the 905, there was simply no investment. The mayor and the PCs still can't take credit for subways they haven't paid for. Those subways are Scarborough subways. They belong to the people of Scarborough and not the Fords. And I just want to say, as a mayor who once was mayor of a rather poor city, I would have given my eye teeth for a 2/3 deal. And how you actually run to say you're a fiscal conservative when, as a resident of Toronto, this guy's been raising my property taxes and he hasn't built a single meter of subway. So the subway champion can only talk about subways, can't deliver them, and for all the fiscal concerns, this is a guy who's continually raising our taxes. So I don't think he has much credibility, and having a Ford puppet at Queen's Park is no great help. This whole nonsense started yesterday when the mayors threw themselves into it. And I was a mayor, I never, ever, ever, and I had Conservative premiers and I had NDP premiers, I never threw myself into a partisan race. The mayor's office is supposed to be above partisan politics. It's supposed to be a convener, it's supposed to represent and bring people together. That is not happening. And when you put up your deputy mayor to be a mouthpiece for you and your brother, that is not the kind of democratic process that people want. The by-election in Etobicoke Lakeshore is about what do the people of Etobicoke Lakeshore need and want in their provincial government. How do they feel about provincial policy? It is not a referendum on the Ford brothers. No, it is a decision, but one has to look at the role of a civic leader. One has to look at the role of Mr. Holliday, who seems to be more interested in being a mouthpiece for the civic administration for the Ford brothers than he does in representing the people of Etobicoke. And quite frankly, there is we have taken a lot of criticism and been very patient about it, and there's one point where I think you have to draw a line in the sand and just say enough is enough. You know, if I was mayor of the city, I would have absolutely no trouble closing that 1/3. If I was a Conservative, to get the federal government, to get Jim Flaherty, who's supposed to be my best friend, to cover up half the cost, the tax increment financing, because tax base in Scarborough was quite low, this will raise it, he could get a few $100 million there. This is such an easy thing to solve, but with the mayor, it's all talk about subways. No one's writing a check. The only governments that are writing checks are Liberals. The difference between the Liberals and the Conservatives are, we actually fund subways, they don't, they fill them in. And it's going to be said. Thank you very much. Take care.
you.